24
so it
hours.
doesn't go off.
Oh.
It's my arrow. I can't see the arrow. But
This is also on now.
yes.
Okay. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Bhadram Karnebhih Shriyamadevaah Bhadram Pashyemakshabhiryajatraah Sthirairangaiः Stushtvagumsastanubhih Vyashema Devahitam Yadayuh Swasti na Indro Vruddhashravah Swasti nः Pusha Vishwavedaः Swasti nastarkshyo Arishtanemiः Swasti no Brahaspatir Dadhatu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Reiterating the fruits of this teaching, Adi Shankara concludes the Bhashya, but he makes sure that the people are left with the understanding that those who are going to get the fruits have to be equipped with what? Shraddha and Bhakti. This is so. Shraddha Bhakti Purassaraha Santaha Ye Janaha Brahma Vidyam Upayanti. They approach the Brahma Vidya. And since we found out the root of the, the verb to go, it has a finality, That's why death is called, the person who has died is called pretaha, prakarshena itaha, means not coming back. As opposed to someone in nirvikalpa samadhi, coming back, correct? Yeah. When the nice aroma of the food being cooked is there, the aroma wafts in the air, and then the person in samadhi says, okay, it's time to end the samadhi, correct? The vikalpa that is created by the aromatic food being cooked wakes up the person from nirvikalpa. But a preta doesn't come back, correct? So this in gatau, this verb has a finality. So upayanti means they approach without fear, they approach the knowledge closely enough to get its benefits, not a cha-cha-cha dalliance from far coming and going, no. And they finally approach with finality because having come to the sharanagati of the knowledge, meaning they have enough viveka to understand that without this knowledge nothing is going to happen, that there is something about this knowledge that is different from all other pursuits in the gamut of the pursuits that are available. This is not one more pursuit. In fact, as the first mantra is going to point out very shortly, this pursuit is the basis of all other pursuits. Sarva Vidya Pratishtham. Knowing this, you will know everything else, and knowing this, you will lose the self-ignorance, and knowing this alone, you will be free from fear and sorrow. That is the promise of the Upanishad, whichever Upanishad you open. Okay, maybe one Upanishad can tell a lie, but all the Upanishads are not going to, be committed to the removal of fear and sorrow if indeed fear and sorrow were here to stay. So, fear and sorrow are imposters that have superimposed upon one's own nature, like even the superimposition of the what? Upon what? Superimposition of the, come on, you are Vedantins, you have just two, Abba, yeah, ay, Abba. So, there is only pot and clay and snake and rope. Yeah, so for any kind of undesirable superimpositions, you will use snake rope. And for benign superimposition, pot clay. Yeah, to show that from the one many has come pot clay. Anything undesirable, snake rope. Why it should take so long? Okay, time has changed, but this hasn't changed. So just like when you withdraw the snake from the rope, which snake? Rope snake. Yeah, and where is this rope snake? Sitting in the form of a thought. Your own projection. You withdraw that, and then the rope, which is a product, the snake, which is a product of aropa, that's why it's called aropa, because there is rope involved, and the snake, which is the product of aropa, is withdrawn, and the rope is as is. It is free of the sliminess of the snake. It is free. The rope does not, even by association, gather some of the poison from the glands of the snake. The rope does not have scales of the snake. And the rope does not have the fangs of the snake, correct? The rope is completely free of snakeness, because the snakeness is your own projection. It is, it's not there at all. And the rope, even after sahavasa, meaning living in close proximity with the snake. Which snake? The projected snake. Is unaffected by that, because the one is false, it's just a product of the imagination, and the other is real, correct? In this example. Similarly, one's own nature is free of sorrow and fear, and the sorrow and fear cannot even touch the Atma, much like the snake, the mental snake cannot touch the rope. Just like that, the Atma is free of all kinds of anartha vratan, or here it says anartha pugam. Pugam means a host of undesirable things. The Atma is already free of that. What to talk of even the apparent, here we are talking of the imagined attributes of the Atma. I am as good as the body, I am no good, I am an idiot, I am insecure, I am underconfident, I have fear, I am sad, I am suppressed, depressed, pressed. All these things, These are the conclusions which are very subjective, correct? Even though they are shared by people universally, each one will have certain conclusions about oneself which are extremely subjective. So that subjective conclusions are gone in one stroke of this knowledge that reveals you to be the truth of the universe. So anybody who was vying for some greatness is shown that you are as great as Brahman, you are as great as Bhagavan, so there is nothing that you don't have. So the subjective feelings are knocked off. But what about the objective reality, or the so-called objective reality? What is the objective reality here? We are talking of the Vyavaharikam, or the transactional world of give and take, where you have a body. After the knowledge, the body doesn't suddenly go away. Thank God. Because already so few people for Vedanta, few are still for Bhashya classes. And then if supposing the body were to go away as soon as one was quote unquote enlightened, what would happen? I see this, I am the whole. Gone. So what is the motivation to gain this knowledge? Everybody will stay 10 feet away. They will not touch the knowledge with a big long barge pole. Yeah. They will not touch it because the fear of, suddenly, gaining moksha, not in the sense that you had intended, is, is imminent. And then, besides, if that were the prasanga, then who would be the teacher? Because the one who could have taught has popped off, correct? Even before they had made a chance of a bucket list, okay, I'd like to teach a few people, that's on the bucket list of this person, and even that is not fulfilled, suddenly the person is gone, and so there is no student, no teacher, therefore no parampara. So in a way, while the subjective notions connected to the body, mind, sense complex, which come under the technical term of pratibhasikam, or mithya within mithya, your own conclusions, those are of course knocked off in the wake of this knowledge. What about the intermediate or the empirical reality of having a body, having a mind? That will continue because that was started with, the prarabdha that was before the teaching took place. So that was done prior to the teaching taking place. So the body mind will continue. But one is free enough to inhabit a complaining body, a non-existent, never mind, and senses that are on the brink of senseless. So one is free enough to inhabit that. So one is not bothered by that. Because if you know that your nature is wood, then you could be carved, in the form of a small little bird or a big table or a huge, forest. You can remain, you can still be free because you know that you are not this small little carving. You are the wood itself. Similarly, gold ornament, you can keep on multiplying the examples. Pot clay, here don't bring in snake rope, we are done with that. So therefore, this is the promise, is that even in a body that is subject to these changes that are described by Adi Shankara, what are the changes he described? Janma, Garbha. Garbha first. Garbha means, being in the womb, yes. And then Janma, finally coming out of the womb with great difficulty, if one manages that. And then the trauma of that. And then what? And then he skips straight to Jara, from Janma to Jara. And he is very observant. I gave you some of the similarities between a newborn and an old man. Yesterday we saw. What are the similarities? No hair on both sides. No teeth. Cannot walk. The food for the infant has to go into a blender before going into the stomach. Food for the old man with no teeth also has to go into the blender before going into the stomach. So these are the similarities, And that's why when you enter old age, it is called second childhood. You see? Yeah. And Adi Shankara knew that long ago. So therefore, from Janma, he goes straight to Jara. This is how to study Bhashya. You cannot leave things just and gloss over. Oh, Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadhi. You cannot go like that. You have to really see why after Janma, Jara is put. And you have to just, go along with, you have to kind of gel with Adi Shankara. You have to go places where he is willing to take you. You have to be willing to go there. And then you see this in a whole different and a very relaxed, leisurely, light. Because what is the hurry? Where are you going to go? Hurry up and get to yourself. Hurry up and make a U-turn. That I already told you. Hurry up and make a U-turn. But having made a U-turn, idhar jaoge? Where are you going to go? Right here, right now, we just enjoy. We don't worry about when is this going to finish. Even now, after so many weeks, introduction is also not finished. So at this rate, every page has, every verse has, let us say, on an average 1 page of bhashya, and here not even 1 page has been done in 20 classes, and then so that means, so 1 page, 20 classes, so the whole thing will have about maybe 200 pages, 200 into 20, oh, it is too early to do the mathematics, never mind, but that's a lot of classes, and how are we going to survive by that? I don't know if I'll be here, I don't know if I'll have the tenacity, so many obstructions can come. So like this, what are you doing? Creating an obstruction right now. Yeah, you're not listening. By the time the mind has wandered into this manorajya of calculations, because this is very tempting, because if the human mind is, I want to finish this, not I want to understand it, assimilate it and live this knowledge, but I want to finish this. And so such a mind goes, okay, Kathopanishad finished, fir kya? This is called the fir kya mind. What is this fir kya mind? What next? Mundakopanishad. Okay, Mundakopanishad ho gaya, fir kya? Fir kya means what next? Okay, then Ishavasya. Okay, I've done that. What next? What next? What next? So this what next mind, is there, is not prepared for knowledge. Why? Because the knowledge is that knowledge which puts an end to the question what's going to come next. Yeah. Next is you, before was you, in between the next and the next is you, in between the next and the next is you. The nexus is you, and the starting is you, the ending is you, the center is you, the beginning is you, and everything is you. So if the what next mind is not going to be able to enjoy these nuances in the study of the commentary, which is all about nuances, it's a nuanced approach. And so therefore the reason to relax and be in the moment, and when you are really truly in the moment, the Upanishad just opens all the doors you never even thought possible. And you also start seeing things that are already there. Yeah, we don't want you to see things that are not there. We are going away from that. So here we are talking about Janma, Jara, all these fourfold afflictions that are there, and Adipadat, the death is also accounted for. So these fivefold afflictions or any other host of afflictions, named and unnamed, that are there, are also mitigated, he says. That's why he uses the verb nishatayati. He doesn't say there will no longer be janma for your body. That of course is true. But he will not say there is no longer old age, there is no longer death. This is a false promise. That is why he used the word mitigated. The mitigation of this intermediary level of this apparent reality of names and forms, the mitigation of the dukkha, the pains, the sorrows, is not based upon taking paracetamol. That's a different kind of a mitigation. But here this mitigation or the lessening of that is because you are identified, you have relocated the I. The I has called in the movers and has moved from living in the realm of the body, mind, sense complex and being constantly subject to its limitations or thinking that it is subject to its limitations. The I has taken up its tent and moved somewhere else. And where has it moved? To that place, to that paramarthika reality, to that absolute reality of oneself as the whole. It has moved and taken up a new abode, from where there is no coming back, no return. Yad gatva na nivartante tad dhama paramam mama. Where have we heard this? I told you, I have already given you the prescription. Where have we heard this?
First Gita.
Gita. Which chapter? When you don't know which chapter you have to say? 15th chapter. Yeah. Yad gatva na nivartante, from which there is no coming back, from which a wrong identification. having been freed, there is no return to that wrong identification. So the correct identification, what does it do? It mitigates all these bodily aches and pains because I am no longer, associated with them. That is the whole thing. So therefore it mitigates the way the whole Jagat looks, and you cannot deny the bodily pains. Yes, it is there, but I am not affected by it. That is the mitigation. That is why he uses the word nishatayati, mitigates. And then what? While removing completely, atyantam avasadayati. Look in the bhashya, these words you will find, they are important. I am not just making them up. So atyantam avasadayati means completely uproots what? Samsara karanam. Yes. Samsara karanam. While at the same time uprooting the cause for samsara. What is the cause for samsara? Oh, ignorance. Abba. Yes. So the cause for samsara, and what is samsara? The wrong, the wrong identification with all things finite, and the ensuing problems as a result of that is called samsara. And so the cause of samsara is totally removed, which mitigates the experience of samsara in my life, which totally mitigates it, because it takes the bite of old age. Old age comes. It's not that the old age will not suddenly come to the one that is quote unquote enlightened. That is a wrong understanding. And a lot of these new age gurus fall into this, prey to this, because they just read something from the Upanishad. Dhiraha pramuchyante. All the enlightened people are free. All the people who have viveka are free. And then, na punaragamanam, they will read things like that, little bit. These people are not coming back, and old age and death does not touch them. This is all, proverbial sentences from the Upanishad. And then not having the parampara, the new age self-styled so-called gurus, what do? They take this literally, and they have a posturing. So each time they have the flu or the cold, they have to fly away somewhere, because they cannot look to be sick. Because if they look to be sick, then this is a cult. And the cult is based on, if you are like me, you will not have any problems. And so the guru has to always show that there are no problems, even at the level which is completely riddled with problems, like the body, mind, sense complex. So that, so there is some kind of a posturing. And we find that one person, one spiritual, leader, or maybe the students associated, we don't know who started this. It's not very far from here, as we find out, in this state itself. The person said, or the student said, our teacher is so enlightened that he doesn't need to use the bathroom at all. And then the people came and looked, and indeed, and the TV crew came with cameras and everything, and they said, yes, his room is there, but there is no bathroom and there is no place to go out other than into the main house, and nobody has seen him come and go. And this is amazing. He is truly enlightened because he doesn't need to use the bathroom. Much later, they found a trap door under the bed and a narrow winding staircase leading to a, bathroom. This is why go through, imagine, so difficult going under the bed, opening the trap door, walking down the stairs. Why? Because the Upanishad has not been understood. This is what it is. Yeah. This is what it is. Go through all these posturing. Why? Doesn't mean that you have to be complaining all the time, ayo, in the middle of the teaching. That's not, we are not going, we are avoiding the extremes, Just be normal. There is no posturing here. So that's why Adi Shankara makes that distinction here. That while the Jagat, or the effect of the Jagat on oneself, appears mitigated. Because not that suddenly the body becomes healthier as a study of Vedanta. No. That's certainly not true. But what happens is that, your way of attaching to the ailments of the body are not there. So the ailments themselves, which are, multiplied as a result of one's identification with the body, mind, sense complex, appear mitigated. You see this? Yeah. As a result of the knowledge. Whereas the cause of this, which is wrong identification, is removed completely. Atyantam avasadayati. And for whom? Let's not forget. Shraddha bhakti purassaraha santaha ye janaha. So three conditions. One is the people who are approaching this knowledge should be endowed with Shraddha. We saw what Shraddha was. It's a trust. It's regaining the trust that one lost during childhood. Simple. It's the regaining of the trust that one lost during the childhood. Seeing that the parents were not as great as one thought. Really. That is Shraddha. The regaining of this lost trust is Shraddha. And then that Shraddha cannot come without Bhakti. Because where to place this mistrust? If you try as an adult, talking to your parents, especially if they are Indian parents, you didn't do right by me. You try telling your mother or father, first of all you corner them, because they'll be busy doing their own things. They don't have the time to listen to all this nonsense, They have grown up in the Vaidika culture. So they did their best, and they know that they knew very well that their best was not good enough, and they just went along. They said, okay, you are in Bhagavan's hands. Whatever was in your karma, you are getting, no problem, deal. And this is the Indian parenting. And, so then they will say that let's say you imagine, you corner the mother and the father, and then you say, you have to wag the finger at them. And then what, you didn't do right by me, mother, father, you did not allow me to do this when I was small, and you did this, and because of this I am like this. What are they going to say? They are going to say, just go. Don't you have anything better to do, Yeah. Is this why I sent you abroad? This is what they are going to say. You gone to America and got all these newfangled notions. Is this why I, work day and night very hard to send you to study abroad? This is what I get. Or they will simply say, that, okay, that was then, this is now, fine, I did all those things. But then what are you doing to take responsibility for that? You are about 21. Okay, all those mistakes were made, but you are the one now. You have all the equipment to let go of this. So this is what it is, So therefore, the parents are not going to listen, even if they are available to listen, because they are not going. They are going to say, okay, that was then. How long are you going to carry this burden? You're 50 years old now. Wake up. And then what? Then you try the significant other. In fact, you got married hoping that they will listen to all this. But the significant other, threatens to be just other. Lose the epithet significant if you try telling them all the woes all the time. Correct? Yeah. They're not good. They're going to say, don't blame me. Why are you putting all this on me? Just deal with your own stuff. And then you make a friend just for this, and to tell all the problems. And then what will happen? The FR will go, END will remain. This is the end of the friend. Yeah. The upasarga will go. Only the end will remain. So end of friend. Okay. So all right. So the marriage didn't work to regain the trust. Friendship did not work. And trying to reconnect with the parents in a new way, the parents would have none of it. Okay. They just say, go, what is this, don't waste my time. Just because you have nothing better to do, don't drag me down this road. And then what? So where, options are closing in now. So where are you going to go? So this mistrust, you can't keep carrying the mistrust for generations. You've already done that for several lifetimes. Now time has come to drop it. So there should be a dropping place, where you come and drop off some things. Yeah, there should be a place to drop the things because nobody else is going to listen. Wait, what about therapist? Yes, but then you have to pay. Yeah, free mein kuch nahi hoga. You have to pay. And that's, of course, to a certain extent, the therapist works. Because the therapist will take your money and for 60 minutes, but which is actually only 50. And as soon as you go sit down there, tick, 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 you hear the clock. Even if it is digital, you hear the tick. And then if the therapist starts to talk about the weather, therapist is just trying to make you comfortable, But then you get angry immediately. Hey, I'm paying and he's talking about weather. So you get angry because you hear the ticks. And then you get ticked off as a result of these, these pleasantries. But without the pleasantries, you cannot suddenly plunge into all the depths of the unconscious. Oh, this happened, and I was lost in a fair, and the parents left me in the mela and went away, and all these things. This is the Indian child's horror of being of being left in Kumbh Mela. There are many stories like this. In fact, Hindi movies are made on this kind of masala only, So then, what happens? So then the therapist will listen because the fellow is paid to listen. Fellow or felly, doesn't matter. The person is paid to listen and the person listens, But the therapist is also infinitely fallible, correct? Yeah. Therapist whose nature is also infinite Brahman is infinitely fallible, and the therapist also makes mistakes, and the therapist also will just give the stock textbook, what is that? Textbook remedies. And the therapist has some stock phrases which they use constantly. What is that? Oh, I don't know how you are getting up and going to work every day. If I were you, this is a very stock phrase used. If I were you, I would just still be under the cover. See, you are doing so much better. And the person says, very good. Goes away until the next session. And then the therapist also says, which is useful, is that given this background, this will be, because the therapist is a master of the psychological order of Ishvara, has somewhat mastered the patterns of the psychological order here. Given this kind of a neglect, it is not surprising that you are having these feelings now. You make some kind of a correlation, which is useful. Then the next thing is, it all ends up in the mother and the father. Yes, it is not you that's the problem, because you went to the therapist thinking you are the problem. And then what? Then conveniently the mother and the father are targeted. So it's like a infinite regress, correct? You already went there thinking it was the mother and the father. But having an Indian heart, Matra Devo Bhava, Pitra Devo Bhava, Acharya Devo Bhava, even Atithi Devo Bhava. Here, the advice given by the Acharya to the student in one of the most ancient valedictory speeches is what? Be the one unto whom the mother is as good as Bhagavan. Be the one unto whom the father, your own father, is as good as Bhagavan. And this is the Indian heart. It doesn't mean you have to respect the parents, it does mean that. But more than that, that's just a surface level understanding. More than that, you know what it means? It means accept your parentage as a gift from Bhagavan and see the parents as an inevitable, see in the parents the inevitable hand of karma and the Lord of karma, which is Bhagavan. That is the ultimate understanding of these phrases. See the inevitability and make peace with it. Have a sense of acceptance with it. So even there, in your own psychology, when the matru and the pitru, the mata and the pita are discussed, you cannot do that without bringing in Bhagavan. So therefore Shraddha cannot come without its accompaniment, Bhakti. So you have to have a place, a recycling bin to put all this mistrust. Yeah. And that is called the altar of surrender. And that altar of surrender always has a form. Because the surrender is itself a form. So the altar of course has to be formed. And here, since Ishvara is everything, you can invoke Ishvara in anything. In a stone, in an image, in a photograph, in anything. Any name, any form. And here I use this as a surrender very strategically. Because Ishvara becomes the super therapist who doesn't blame the mother, father or you or himself or anyone, herself, anyone. Ishvara doesn't talk back. Correct? So there you make peace with yourself at this altar of surrender. And it's called altar of surrender because it has the power to alter you and your notions. From a place of being a spiritual rebel to a place of understanding and acceptance of all that is. Because what is Ishvara. What are the first two letters of Ishvara? Is. I-S. In English, if you spell, what is it? I-S. So what is Ishvara. This is what it is. And so, Shraddha and Bhakti. Without Bhakti, there is no Shraddha. And without Shraddha, there is no Bhakti. Wherever there is Shraddha, there is Bhakti and vice versa. And Shraddha is that, yes, that trust is there. And that relative trust one has to be equipped with in order to come and bring it as an offering to this knowledge. Really, that is the best Guru Dakshina you can give, and that's the best present you can give yourself, is your own Shraddha. That is the best Dakshina. Because that is what is going to make this knowledge hone in, really. And so therefore what? So this Shraddha Bhakti Purassaraha, two conditions. And then what? The third condition is Ye Janaha. Brahma Vidyam Atmatvena Upayanti. It was called Atmatvena or Atmabhavena. Same thing. Atmabhavena Upayanti. So the third condition is you don't approach this like you approach every other piece of knowledge. Here the approach is Atma Bhavena. Atma Bhavena means that this is me alone. I am looking into the mirror. Like that you approach. You approach from a place of non-duality, not from a place of duality. And Atma Bhavena Upayanti. And yesterday we talked about this in detail. So I am just recapitulating this and adding a few more things that needed to be said. So these are the three conditions which are going to bless in a twofold way. What are the twofold way? The mitigation of the experience of samsara, and then the complete and the total removal of its cause, which is ignorance. So in fact, the ignorance is gone. There is no samsara. So what is mitigated? Really nothing is mitigated. He is just going in stages. Because he brought in Shraddha and Bhakti together, so he is giving the relative fruits and the ultimate fruit of this knowledge. The relative fruit we can also take is the mitigation of all the sorrows and pains that are experienced, and the ultimate fruit is the weeding along with the root cause of the samsara, which is one's own ignorance. Clear? Good. Further. Further, Brahma Gamayati Vidyadi Samsara Karanam Va Atyantam Abasadayati Vinashayati Iti Upanishad Upanipurvasya Sadehe Evam arthasmaranat.
Arthasmaranat.
Yeah, so here he says that Upanipurvasya, the first part we have already seen, we just chanted that as a bridge. Upanipurvasya. So he is talking about the derivation, the vyutpatti of the word Upanishad. Here the root verb is shadlr. The sha goes away and becomes sa. Don't ask why. Okay? Just listen. So that sad has three meanings. If you look in the dhatu patha. Visharana avasadana gatyarthe. Sad. So the root verb sad has three meanings. Visharana means dissipation. And that was already talked by using the verb here, nishatayati. Dissipates, mitigates. But it's not enough to just for the fog to lift, because if the fog just lifts, what will happen to the fog? It will come back the next day, correct? Or even the next hour if we are talking of the mental fog. And so we need a stronger verb here. The verb sad also has the meaning of to remove without a trace, avasadanam. Again the word sad is already there with vriddhi in sadhanam. This is the problem with dhatu patha. You look up the word, and then what? That same root verb is used to explain that. So this is the problem. So that's how it is. It blesses the people who already know the language. So therefore, avasadayati means removes without a trace, meaning there is no coming back. You won't come back, neither will the ignorance come back. So who is this you? The one that had a penchant for the ignorance, really. So that you is not going to come back. But what about the enlightened me? The enlightened me was already living like Ishvara while alive, and after the body drops, it will still be Ishvara. Like even that question is like saying, what happens to the pot space? Do you agree that there is space in the pot? Yeah, I'm showing the space, okay? Yeah. So, so this pot space first was saying, let me out, let me out. And it even tried to break the pot. See, it made the pot crack pot in trying to come out. It cracked the pot in trying to come out. But then, one of the students, fixed it completely. So then the pot space got stuck in the pot. And the pot space said, oh, Guru, teach me. And went and purchased some Shraddha and Bhakti. And endowed itself with some Shraddha and Bhakti. And went to Space Guru, not spaced out Guru, okay? Yeah. And Space Guru said, Space Guru was a Zen master. And the Space Guru gave this, this pot space. A kovan. What is a kovan? These Zen Mahavakyas are called kovans. And kon or kovan, something. Anyway, Koan it is spelled. So this is a Zen Mahavakya, very difficult to fathom. And so the Space Guru said to the pot space, Are you, O pot space? O pot, are you in space? Or O space, are you in pot? And of course the pot space was completely silenced because it has to contemplate now on the Mahavakya. It doesn't know what to do now. This is one way to forestall questions after class. I'm getting new ideas. And so, this is one way to forestall all questions, And then, so the pot space became very quiet, And but still, its enquiries were not fully, what's its name? Were not fully answered. And then it went to the next Guru, a non-talking Guru. The Guru who said, the one who knows doesn't talk. So the Guru had now the pressure to not talk. When nothing happened. Then because of the pot space's previous good karma, it finally got the correct Guru. What kind of Guru? You know, the Vedanta Guru. And the Vedanta Guru said, basically, it reiterated what the Zen master said, but in a much more understandable way. It said, basically, you know, you are not confined to the pot. The pot is just the name and form. You are free, even while you are supposedly in the pot. Really speaking, the pot is in you. You are not in pot. Oh, yes. This is the meaning of the koan. Finally it understood. And then what? Then no longer it tried to say, let me out, set me free. Correct? Yeah. So as long as the pot was there, pot space continued, knowing that it was non-separate from this space, and this is just a name and form, just a divide between, an as though divide. Because really speaking, space is, not in pot. Pot is in space. So that space and this space, what is the difference between this space and that space? No difference. No difference at all. And then finally, the pot, Ram Naam Satya hai, pot vanished. And no one could put it together. Even Humpty Dumpty could be put together, but pot could not be put together. And then what happened to the space? What happened to pot space? Hello? It is nothing happened to pot space. Pot came, pot went. Space was always space. Space continues to be space. So here is a lot of people who are afraid to gain this knowledge because they will say, oh my God, there is no coming back. I mean, as though they have not been troubled by samsara enough. So what will happen to me? After this body falls, I will disappear. That which does not disappear is the I. When you say I disappear, that is a oxymoron. What is an oxymoron? A product of moronic thinking. That is what it is. You cannot disappear. That which does not disappear is the I. Okay? Yeah. So I have taken away one more reason for you to not study and gain this knowledge. Yeah, because people come to me and say, what will happen after this? Nothing will happen. Yeah. While living, you live as free as Ishvara, as gloriously as Ishvara. And if the body falls and after it falls, you will continue to be Ishvara. That's all it is. And so, here, avasadayati means destroys the cause for samsara. Doesn't destroy the I. Be very careful. The definition of the word Upanishad. These are the two meanings. Visharati and avasadayati. Visharana, avasadanam. So Visharana dissipates and then uproots the cause. First dissipates the fog and then looks at the cause, hones into the cause of samsara, which is ajnanam, and then uproots that so that there is no coming back. And then finally there is gatyartha also. Gatihi means takes you. Taking. Where is this taking? And that taking and what is it destroying is suggested by the first two prefixes. Upani. Ni nishchaya jnanam nishtha. Upa samipe. So by showing you or taking you near that which is the nearest and the dearest and the most glorious, which is what? Your own self. That is the taking, that is the gati. And destroys all the factors that stop you from seeing the glory of yourself. First dissipates those factors and then destroys them without a trace. That is the Upanishad. And he says, Artha Smaranat. Smaranat, he says, he remembers the Dhatu Patha and he is also remembering his Bhashya for the Kathopanishad where he discusses these things very, very much in detail. And then, remembering that, he's hoping that you have already studied that. And he's hoping that even if you haven't studied that, the teacher would have studied that so that they can bring in that information and give it to you now as was just done. Okay? That concludes our introductory bhashya. And then now we can commence studying the first verse, the opening mantra. Om Brahma Devanam Prathamas Sambabhuva
Brahma Devanam Prathamas Sambhuva
Vishvasya Karta
Vishvasya Karta
Bhuvanasya Gopta
Bhuvanasya Gopta
Sabrahma Vidyam
Sabrahma Vidyam
Sarva Vidya Pratishtham
Sarva Vidya Pratishtham
Atharvaveda
Atharvaveda
Jyeshtha Putraya Praha.
Jyeshtha Putraya Praha.
The teaching begins with the Mangala Suchaka, Mangala Suchaka Shabda, an auspicious sounding word. What is that? One and only Om. So the Om it begins with, not only because that is the hearing the sound Om brings in, ushers in auspiciousness. So wherever you encounter Om, it is auspicious because at once another Upanishad, Mandukya Upanishad, has laden the word, has loaded the word Om with multiple meanings and very, very important meanings. Om, the truth of myself. That truth which is beyond all names and forms, that truth. So the Om is that vision. When you say Om, you immediately come home to yourself. So Oming is really homecoming, really. Oming is homing. Yeah, that is a new, what is it? You put at the back of cars? Bumper plate, bumper sticker. Yeah. To Om is to come home. And what is home? Where you feel at home. And where is the place where you feel most at home? Being yourself, really. Not being anyone else. Not masquerading as this finite body, mind, sense complex and masquerading as a sad fellow, always playing tragic roles. Romeo, Juliet, every life, So this is not, you're not at home. That's why Romeo and Juliet also ended their lives because they couldn't stand it. So much sorrow, so much separation, so much angst. Home is a place of endless joy. Home is a place of limitlessness. Home is a place beyond all names and forms, where all names and forms, come to a place of a resting place. That which transcends everything, but really is intimately and infinitely myself. That is home. That is Om. So when you say Om, this is all that should come. Om should have that effect. When you hear it, you should come back to yourself. Again, to borrow something from our neighboring tradition, the Buddhist tradition, they have a bell. In every Buddhist meditation session, the first thing they teach is that the sound of the bell should make the mind come back. They train you so that whenever you hear the bell, you stop, you drop the thoughts, you stop the thoughts, you suspend all the worries, fears, and then you come back to yourself. And so in our tradition, the resonance of Om is that bell alone. That Om is the internal bell. We are all about doing an inside job. Yeah, we don't even need to advertise the bell, even though we have bells and we use them. But they have a different, they have more of a different, slightly different purpose. Yeah. They are to drive away Rakshasas, the bell, and to bring in auspicious elements. Same thing, but more on a what is that? On a empirical plane. Agamarthantu devanam, gamanarthantu rakshasam. Ghantanadanam, Ghantanada kuryat. This is what it is. There is a verse like that. So, in order to welcome that which is auspicious and to ward off all these Rakshasas in the mind or outside, doesn't matter, the bell is given, correct? And so the Om is the silent bell. Yeah, that's what it is. It brings you back to your home, back to the deep place of non-negatable residence. Because every residence is temporary. The body is falling apart even as you are looking into the mirror, correct? Yeah. Every day new wrinkles are coming and new things are going wrong. And so therefore, the body which is your home, which is supposed to be your home, is falling apart. What to talk of the mind, what to talk of the eyesight. One good thing is, along with the aging body, eyesight also ages, so you don't see anything. This is a blessing from Bhagavan. So, like this, so many blessings are there. So the first meaning of the word Om is that non-negatable abode. That abode, everything can be negated. Body negated, mind negated, everything negated. Finally you are confronted with a negator who cannot be negated. Yeah. The negator cannot be negated. Drigeva natu drishyate. The seer cannot be seen, the negator cannot be negated. And that non-negatable abode is Om. So when you hear Om, you are supposed to come back. This is one meaning. Yeah, you come back. Wherever you hear Om, whenever you hear Om, you come back. That is its purpose. And that is why it is one reason it is very auspicious, correct? Because what is much more auspicious than a homecoming? It is so auspicious. Let's say you've gone on a trip, and sometimes after the vacation you need another vacation, and that is called staycation, where you draw the blinds and pretend not to be at home even when you're at home. So then you come home, you're tired, and you've gone on trains, buses, planes, everything. And then you come back, everything is so familiar. Everything is just like you left it. And it's so wonderful to just be. This is a place where you can just be. You don't have to have any faces, masquerade. You can just be yourself. This is a non-negatable comfort zone, which is Om. And then the second meaning given by the Upanishad is that it also stands. It's not doesn't just stand for Satyam Jnanam Anantam, that home which is built from the walls of Satyam Jnanam Anantam. No. It is also the embodied Ishvara that stands for Om. Om is a name for Ishvara. Oh. Don't say Oh, say Om. Yeah. This is Om. It is Bhagavan's name. It is the name for Bhagavan, from whom everything has come, by whom everything is sustained, and unto whom everything resolves. That is Om. So now we have both. What is this? What are the two lakshanas here? Swarupa lakshana, first one. My own Swarupa, Om. And then Tatastha lakshana. Tatastha lakshana is that indication of that Satyam Jnanam Anantam when it is combined with, or when it is manifest in the form of the Jagat along with the maker of the Jagat. Om. Uma, everything. The waker, the individual waker, and the individual waker does not exist in a flask, in a vacuum. Individual waker is along with the waking world, correct? The waker brings in the waking world. So the whole waker, individual and collective, waking world. Sleeper, individual, and the world in a state of stasis. The world, unmanifest world. Dreamer. And the dream world. And the manifesting world, or the potential to manifest that world. The whole thing is there, and the silence that ensues the Om. What is that? That is that nameless, formless I that sustains all these three, but is not any one of them. Is neither the waker, nor the sleeper, nor the dreamer, but the truth of all of them, and that which exists beyond them. It's not the fourth, it is the only thing. Yeah. We only have fourth estate. What is the fourth estate? Press. Okay? Yeah. Now all the newspapers are going because of internet, so nobody knows what is the fourth estate. So we have a fourth estate, and which played a major part in all the French Revolution, etc. But we don't have the fourth state. Please understand. There is no fourth state. There is only one state, and that is the stateless. Yeah, really, nameless, formless I, which morphs as it were, which lends its existence, lends its sentience into the waker without being the waker, lends its existence to the dreamer, the sleeper, without being any of that. So this is the second meaning of Om. This is a Mahavakya, because the Bhagavan and you are addressed in the same sentence, the waker and the waking world, that's the Mahavakya. Sleeper and the sleeping world, dreamer and the dream world, it is Mahavakya, because the individual and the collective are it's a suchaka for it's a indicator of that which is individual and the collective, both. So, and then finally, the another meaning of the word Om is that it is alambana. What is alambana? Alambana means it's a tool by which to get to both the Swarupa Lakshana and the Tatastha Lakshana. It is a tool to bring me back to myself, we have seen that. It is also a tool to name Ishvara and to be in touch with that bhakti and the glories of Ishvara. That's why all our Ashtotras, Sahasranamas, 1000 names, 108 names, sometimes we have 100,000 names. It's called Laksharchana, 100,008 names. All of them begin with what? Om Shivaya Namaha, Om Maheshwaraya Namaha. Like this, that Om is never given up. Yes. Even the Gayatri mantra, Om Tat Saviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi. That Om is there. Om is something that it is impossible to give up. It is here to stay. This is the glory of the word Om. And that is why the Upanishad begins with a big bang. Om. Begins with Om. Because how else will it begin? It has to begin with aplomb, because what is it, the subject matter that is conveying? Om. Who is the listener? Om. What is Ishvara? Om. What is the Shruti? Om. What happens when you gain this knowledge? You become one with Om. What else is there other than Om? Nothing. Yeah. So this is the reason why it begins with the Om. And also, it was earlier mentioned that the sannyasis, you have to have sannyasa to chant this Upanishad. And the sannyasis are told to constantly chant Om. So therefore, to address the sannyasis in the gathering, cleverly the Upanishad says, oh, one more reason. Oh, yeah. Because the Om has a particular affinity to the Creator. There is in the collective mythology of the Hindu Dharma, Om has a affinity. Om becomes Mangala Vachya because it has an affinity to the cycle of creation. Apparently, Brahmaji, who is the author of this Upanishad, created the whole Jagat. And being very pleased with his creation, he spoke two things after. He said two words at the end of the creation. What were they? One of them is a no-brainer. What did he say? Om. And then he said one more word, Atha. So you can substitute. So they are synonyms, Om and Atha. So when you get bored of saying Om, if you get bored of saying Om, you have one more choice. What is that? Atha, Atha, Om, Atha. Because those were the two words spoken by Brahmaji upon finishing, putting the paintbrush away and wiping his hands after painting this whole canvas of this Jagat. After painting his masterpiece, he said Om and Atha. Omkarascha Atha Shabdascha Dvau Etau Brahmanah Pura Kantham Bhitva Viniryatau. Tasmat Mangalikau Ubhau. So both of them are called Mangalika, means most auspicious. Why? Because they came out of the throat of Brahmaji as though just spontaneously, without any intention. So the Om has a particular affinity to Brahmaji, and because of that it is mentioned here specially as a nod, as a salute to know who is the one who is authoring this Upanishad. So Om, and then the next word is what? Brahma, not to be confused with Brahman. Yeah. Brahma here, that's why we say Brahmaji, so that we don't confuse. So what did this Brahma do? What does he have to his fame other than just saying Om? And who is this Brahma? Devanam Prathamaha. Sarvesham Devanam Prathamaha. Prathamaha means what? First. Devas had a competition and Lord Brahmaji came first? No. Yeah. Here we have to also understand one thing before we go any further. That we have, devatas of various kinds teaching the Upanishad. For example, in the, Kaushitaki Upanishad. There is one Kaushitaki Upanishad. Indra is the Guru. Indra is a Devata, correct? Yeah. Indra is the Guru. And, Pratardana, a king who went to Indraloka, who went to heaven after death and after having done a lot of good works, is the student. And then in the Kathopanishad, who is the Guru? Lord Yama is the Guru, correct? But in those two instances, they are just presented as celestials. Yeah. And there is a difference between presenting the Upanishad as being taught by Bhagavan himself, as it is done here, versus being taught by exalted celestials. What is an exalted celestial? We call them Devatas. Exalted celestial is one who has Punya Vishesha, means so much Punya they have accrued, in the course of all the lives they have led. They were born with a chamas in their hand. We have an expression, they were born with a silver spoon, golden spoon in their mouth. But this is the Vedic equivalent. They were born with a chamas. Chamas means chammat. Yeah, same thing. So this chamas means this Vedic apparatus with which to pour ghee and other dravyas into the fire. So even as a baby, they were born with the yajna equipment. They came out with the chamas, and they immediately after birth, when most babies are still suckling and crying, this baby was doing yajna. That is the idea. So that much punya they have accumulated. So if you have so much punya that you don't know what to do with, what will happen? You become a celestial and remain a celestial till the end of the kalpa, till everything resolves. Let's take the opposite, because the opposite scenario is also possible. Keep doing bad things, a person, a jiva. And then what do they end up as? Tiryak. Tiryak means things that grow sideways, like animals, Dash dog being a case in point. First it is this big, then it is this big, then it is this big. Or a creeper, it grows sideways. It grows more sideways. So tiryak, sthavara, like a plant, where there is no volition. So papa vishesha, too much papa, makes one into a mute animal or a plant where there is no free will, where one is subject to being treated however one is treated. By the guardians, by the people who don't know how to care for the environment. You can be mistreated, you don't have a say. It's a very horrible life, very difficult life, plus a wasted life. You cannot pursue moksha. Even though dog and cat can come and sit in the class, cannot imbibe the knowledge, right? And so therefore, this is called Papa, Papa Pradhanya, Papa Pradhana Shariram is called Tiryak Shariram, sideways, plants, animals, etc. And then if you have a mishra, a mix-up of punya papa, then you become a human being. So everyone's last name should be Mishra, because it is a product of, mixed up papa and punya. A little bit of papa, little bit of punya brings about a human body, and too much punya brings about the celestial body. And then too much papa brings about what? A animal or a plant body, amoeba, starting from amoeba, etc. And so therefore, really speaking, this is even Brahma here can be seen in both ways, correct? Can be seen as a celestial who is there appointed at the end of the kalpa, till the end of the kalpa by Bhagavan and by his own punya, or because Ishvara can be invoked in anything, or Brahmaji can be seen as Bhagavan, the creator himself. And here the Upanishad chooses to present Brahmaji not as a, one of the many celestials, but as the Lord himself. How, why, etc. we will see after a 15-minute break. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.